All right. So in the last video, we started fetching data from Contentful and rendering it in the app. Now what we want to do is we want to add the YouTube ID to Contentful so that we don't have to hard code the ID in the app and we can render them dynamically. We're also going to set up the portfolio page so that we can show all the work that we've done in the past. So let's get into it. Okay, so let's start up our server again and see what we have. So since the last one, I updated the thumbnails here so you can see what that looks like now in practice. Pretty happy with that. So what we're working on is the YouTube component. So what we want to do is once we read more here, we want to have this, but we want to load in our YouTube video. So at the moment we're busy hard coding that in. So if we look at posts ID over here, let's bump that up again. We got the YouTube embedded and we hard coded this ID here. So what we want to do now is inside of Contentful, we want to add into our model, we want to add the YouTube video ID. So just want to log in and make sure we can add that. So inside of a content model, got a blog post. So in here we want to add a new field. This will just be a text field and it'll just be YouTube. YouTube video ID. What I was just thinking there is we could do video ID and then video provider. So if you ever swap to Vimeo or anything, you could use that. But for now, it's just going to be YouTube video ID. So YouTube video ID. That's interesting with the casing. I might prefer it that way. YouTube video ID. Great. Short text. Create and configure. We don't need this to be required because sometimes there might be posts that don't have videos. Rare, but could happen. So that's all good. Single line. Done. All right. So now we've got the YouTube video ID here. We can save the content model. And now inside of our content, we're going to say building a portfolio. And what we're going to do is we're going to just grab from the YouTube channel. We can grab one of our own videos. There you go, mate. Got to watch this one if you haven't seen it. So here we go. Grab it. And then down the bottom here, we should have YouTube video ID. Publish that. Cool. Now what we can do is when we're fetching the blog post, we can fetch the YouTube video ID. So it's YouTube video ID. We can add that here as well. It's a string, which is optional because it may not exist. Cool. Grab that. And then we can just log out our props, remembering that this takes a little bit of time sometimes to refresh. I'm going to pop this guy out again. Okay, let's see what we have. Blog post, YouTube, oh boom, done. There it is. So now what we want to do is grab this and chuck it in here. And what we're also going to do is, because this is optional, we're going to say if it has a YouTube video ID, so double bang there, turns it into a truthy value and prevents those weird rendering errors you might see sometimes. There we go. Got a YouTube video locked in. So that's it. It's as simple as that. So now we have inside of our blog post, we got our title, we got our video, we got some text, which is markdown. It's looking pretty good. So what we'll do next after the short break is we will move on to doing the work page. So this is all the apps and things that we work on. We want to link them back together. And this is mainly for SEO and also just showing off what we've done. So we'll be right back. Okay, next up, what we're going to do is we're going to work on the work page, or I actually just asked my friend ChatGPT for a suggestion what a portfolio item could be called, and it says another word for it is project, and that pretty straightforward to me. So we could even call work, we could call projects, and I think that's probably better because it's not always work. Sometimes it's for fun. So what we're going to do first is I'm just going to quickly jump into here in our sidebar. I'm going to change this one into projects, and there we go. Now the next piece of the puzzle is we're going to go into Contentful again, and we're going to add a new content type, and this is going to be called a project. So add that in. Now the first thing that I want to do here is we're going to have just a title. So what was the title of the project? And it's a short text, create and configure, validation, required field, and this field represents the entry title. Yep. No default field, and it's a single line. Lock that in. Next up, so what we're still having a think about this one, but I think what I want to do is kind of either show the logo of the project as well as a screenshot of what it looks like. So I think for now what we can do is we can add in a media piece, and we're going to have one file, and this is we'll do this again. It'll be main image, which will be the main thumbnail. So we'll just create and configure that one. Validation is a required field. Done. And the next one, I think, well, again, it's very similar to the blog entry, but we're going to have description here. So a little bit of text. This is a long text. That's good. Description, and that is also required. And I just want multi-line. Actually, I don't want markdown for this one. That's it. Lock that in. So we're going to go title, main image, and description. We're going to save that content model. Now we have our project model. So that's cool. And then the first project's cool. So what we're going to do here, so the cool thing about Contentful, we can go to content, type in. You can see there's nothing here. So we want to add a new project. And the first one we're going to do is my 4x4. Right. So that's that one. And this is going to be an app that, you know what, let's just grab it straight from there. my4x4.info. So basically this is the description of this app. So we're going to grab that, we're going to chuck it into here. And then the media. So what we want to do here is actually have some sort of thumbnail. So for now, we can just grab, there's a really cool one here. So we can grab this, and we'll just take a screenshot of that, and that will be our thumbnail for now. But what we'll do is build or determine a perfect aspect ratio, and then we'll build to that. So this is basically my 4x4 screenshot. I'm going to open this guy, I'm going to look for him. So that'll be here. Screenshots, done. Ooh. Back, done. Publish. Cool. And then I'm thinking maybe like a black tile with the white mono logo, just to make it all uniform and clean. So I might actually quickly do that. So if I jump into Figma, we might even copy the YouTube thumbnail size just so we can keep that like uniform style. So here's one from here, and grab that, and I'll open a new tab, and I'll go into Figma again and jump into my 4x4. Hopefully we have the logo here ready to go somewhere. I think this is him. Cool. Chuck that guy there. Get rid of this guy. Get rid of him. Get rid of him. Gonna just change this fill. So that's just a picture. Cool. And then we want to invert this guy. That's it. Cool. something like that. Export this as a PNG. Great. Lock that in. So what I want to do here actually is add to the content model and add the logo picture. So inside a project, we'll just add another field, which is a media field again, and this is just going to be project logo. It's one file, add that in. Validation, it is required. Save that. And then jump into the content again, my 4x4, and then let's go here, add media, add new media. So it's my 4x4 logo. Open that up and then go here. And then we got it over here. Done. Upload. Publish. Bang. Publish. Okay. So we've set up the content model now. We should have one project. So now what we can do is get started on here. So I'm just going to close all these windows and we're going to go into pages. Now we're going to go into a new page, which will be called projects. So we're going to add a new page here called projects.tsx. We're going to set up a new component. It's going to be called projects page. Let's see what else we need. Cool, so we're going to use get server-side props here. And that's fine. We can copy that type in from the last file. And what you will notice, I jump in and out of other files to just copy paste. It's just the fastest way to move. It just saves a lot of time. So we need to set up a GraphQL query. So what we're going to do here is, this is going to be projects query. And this is going to get, we can call it recent projects query because it'll probably just be the recent. It'll probably just show the most recent 10 or so. We need to import the GQL from here, from Apollo client, I should say. Now, this is going to be going from the naming convention. Let's just open up our friend Hasura GraphQL endpoint. And now we're getting our data. So what we can see here is we've got a project collection. So that's what we want. We want the project collection. We want, let's put a limit of 10. We want to order it by, not title, but published at descending. We want the items. We want description. We want title. We want project logo. We want the URL. We want the main image URL. So we've got description, title, project logo, and main image. So that's our query there. So we'll grab that. Let's just run it, actually. There we go. So we got our my 4x4 project. So we will dump that in here, which just goes straight over that. Tab that in. We don't have any params, so we don't care about that. That's cool. Now, we want to use recent projects query in our get server-side props. We need to import the client. So again, just jump into search, grab it from import client from the utils that we set up earlier. So we've got that, and now what we're going to get back, there are no variables getting sent up, so we don't need that. We can get rid of the context. Cool. Now what we want to do here, so we're not getting blog posts, we're going to get projects back. So it'll be data.project collection, you can see it here, .items, or an empty array just to save us. Now what we can do here is just for sanity, console log, props, see what we're getting. And if we jump back in, so we need to just now make sure that we actually go into the projects page. So we haven't set the URL here, we just have to do that in the nav. So projects will go to projects, and that's cool. Sweet. Now if we jump in there, we've got a crash, I believe, or dead. It's dead. Let's see what the problem is. We're getting an array. There it is. Projects. So we're getting our projects. That's awesome. So let's just see what's going on here. Okay, so what we're doing is we're just rendering a flex box with children. There are no children, so obviously we're just getting a blank page. So to fix that up, we need to grab our default layout, bring that guy in, move client above him, default layout, swap that out. Now we should be getting a default layout, which is cool. Now we can go to the next step. We can have a heading. Again, just designing this on the fly. That's how we do it. String, yeah, that's fair. So this is just going to be called projects. But nice one. Okay, the next thing, what are we gonna do here? I don't want to grid. I want to have one project per line. So we just read them horizontally. We're gonna have like the logo and then figure out the layout as we go. So here we go. So the next piece is just gonna run this in a flex. Direction column. I want that vertical running. Cool. So what I'll do now is we're going to create a component called project tile. Create that guy. Sweet. Component. Project tile. And what we're going to get here is a project. So we can define the type project here. It's going to have a title of a string. It's going to have a description of a string. It's going to have a main image with the URL of string. And then it's going to have a logo. Just project logo. And that's going to have a URL and that's a string. Thank you. So that guy goes above that guy. T goes down the bottom. Thank you. And this project is a project. This comes here and there. Now we're just going to do for now project.title. And I'm just going to console log project here. That's cool. Now, so we're getting in our props. We saw that we were getting our project here. You can see this in here. So that's all good. So what we're going to do is we know that incoming is projects. I mean, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to pull this type out here. I'm going to move it into here. I'm going to export it so we can consume it inside of our component. So from here, we're going to import type project from there we go. That's the one. And then that's this guy. And then we can say projects is a project array. It's an array of projects. Okay, great. Now what we're going to do inside of this box is we're going to loop through here. And we are going to, what are you doing to me, sir? In here, we're going to say, we're going to return a project with key, and it's going to be, that's what we need as well, is the project ID. There we go, thank you. So we're going to import project tile. So I've actually made a mistake, but that's called project tile. So we're getting an error here because we actually need the ID. So that's sys ID from memory from last time. So we need to pull it in sys ID. Check it out. That's it. So if we go back here, so this is, it doesn't know what's going on because we have to add it to our GraphQL. Save that, refresh a few times. There we go. Got a project, big project over here. So that's just getting the title, which is what we expect. But now what we want to do is, I'm thinking like on the left hand side, we want to do either the project logo, I think probably the project logo on the left, and then on the right hand side I'll probably have title, description, and a screenshot just to start us off. So we'll get cracking on that one. So inside of the image here, so we're going to do a flex. I'm just going to create a box for now, width of, if I can spell width, that'd be good. Let's just double check what these guys are. They are 1280 by 720. So I reckon we can go maybe divide by 3, something even. Let's go to 4, let's go 320. 320, and then the height is going to be 720 divided by 4, 180. So we're going to maintain that aspect ratio. We can probably even downsize that picture so we're not wasting bandwidth. But for now, we're just going to do this. It's going to, whoops, gonna be like that, and we're going to do a background color of just black because it's going to be black. Cool. And now what we're going to do is a flex. This is going to be direction column, so this will be the right hand side running vertically. We're going to have direction column. Why are you doing this to me, sir? In here we're going to have a heading. Now something to notice that we've noticed, actually, this is an off the tangent point, is when Google searches your website for SEO, you need to have your H1. So I think what we need to look at is, how is Chakra rendering this? H2, right? So technically, I think based on the size, it chooses what H, but Google wants an H1. So a way around this is, when we're actually doing this page, what we can do here is heading. We can say as H1, right? Now when we look at this, you can see that Chakra's rendering it as an H1. So it's very important, actually, and we noticed this in my 4x4, is to make sure that you actually run some sort of test for SEO, because this is going to affect your performance. If Google can't see an H1, it doesn't know what's the actual heading of the page. H2s don't work. So we need to make sure that wherever we are doing this heading, we need to make sure it's an H1. That's just one thing that we've noticed. So we'll do that there. I need to do it in here. So here, this is not an H1. This is going to be this is probably an H2 because it's not the primary heading. Need to import this, otherwise we're going to cry. There we go. Definitely want to round. Oh, do we want to round that? Nah, that's right. So we got the project tile. We've got the heading over here. It's probably a little bit big, but that's okay. What we're going to do, the next piece is going to be the text. This is going to be the description. So this is going to be project.description. And we're going to need this to break. It's a bit long. So maybe what we can do again is, here's the max width on this whole box is going to be, I mean, look, we can set the width of the box. I want that about 70% of the screen. That's probably good. And then on this box, we want to just pump it out a little bit. So on the margin left, we're going to do about a 4. Let's see what that looks like. Yeah, that looks good. Okay, so you notice that guy just shrunk. So he needs a flex shrink of 0, because we never want this box to make space for anyone else. It's the guy. There we go. So always this box takes priority. We want this to stay the same, and this guy's going to shrink rather than the other way around. This font size, let's see, how's the blog? What size are we using on our blog? Is that the same? Yeah, it's about the same size, so that's okay. Then what I will do is probably just mimic this. So inside of the blog post tile, we can say, we can almost copy this. We're not going to go into the actual project itself at this stage. So we're going to get the description, we're going to get the title. I don't need a console log view anymore. So description. So this is description. And we get rid of this. Now we can jump back to projects. There we go. So we're matching that now. Cool. I think, and with this one, we can probably allow, we don't have to limit the lines because we're not trying to keep it inside of a grid. We do need a link or a URL to a project actually. So what we'll do is just jump back into this guy, Contentful project, and we're going to add a new field. It's going to be, do they have a text URL? Sorry, text URLs. So this will be project URL, short text, create and configure. Do they have their URL? Okay, all right, so we're going to save that content model. Go back here, go to my 4x4, go to my 4x4 itself, grab you, and the project URL's here. That's it. I'm going to remove the trailing slash just for visual, and that's that there. Cool. Oh wow. It's even embedding it there for us. That's pretty cool. Detailed info and specs of your favorite forward drives. That's it. So that's cool. Now what I want to do is, remembering we have to add this to our GraphQL. So let's just see what we have here. Items. There we go. Project URL. We can grab that. So that's all we need. So we just need a project URL. So we can chuck that in here. And also add it to our type. It's a string, it's required. Awesome, so now we can get, from here, we're gonna get project logo. And we're gonna get project URL. And that's the beauty of TypeScript, it's telling us everything that's available on that one. So we're gonna grab this. Awesome. So project URL. So this is now what we're going to do. So we got title, description, and then URL down here. So we're going to do a link as next link href. And here we're going to do project URL. We're going to actually put it there, and then we're also going to use the same project URL as the href. Next link. So what we want to do here is import link, next link from next link. Yep, that's the one. And we need link from Chakra as well. So we'll import that. Href returns the string, but got undefined. So if we only want, let's just render this if we have a project URL, just to stop the complaining. It's probably just cached and hasn't loaded that. So we'll just say if we have a project URL, let's load it, show it. So there it is now. And we're going to bold this, font weight, bold. There we go, and we're going to give it a little bit of margin top. There we go. So that's that. Actually, I don't know exactly where we're going to add the you know what we could do as well? We could have the screenshot over and then just the logo in black and white over the top. That could work as well, just to show off the project. This is just kind of going to be up to personal preference. So what I want to do here, I actually just also want to, what are we doing in the search? I'm just trying to see what we're doing with the blog post. So here we've got the margin top over in here. So what I'll do is I'll just add it to here, margin top 8, just to give us some padding there. Now I'm going to add another project just so we can see what this feels like when we have multiple. So we add an entry. This one's going to be our old favorite, RealHub. So realhub.com.au, real estate agency marketing platform. Chuck that in there. That's it. Look at that. So powerful and fast. This is awesome. Grab that. So if you don't know, RealHub is my baby. So let's just go in here. I mean, where can we grab a good screenshot? For now, what we can do is I'll grab screenshots later when I'm filling up in the website. What I'll do is I'll just, for time's sake, I'll just use the same image. So we're going to use the same main image will be this one, and the logo will be this one. I'm going to publish that just so we have to. There we go. So see our problem here, no space. Let's fix that up. So project tile, what we'll do is we'll say margin bottom. So margin bottom, at least full. Probably too close still. So maybe we can go 8 just to give us some breathing room, because this will overflow. And what we could even do here is we can say border bottom, 1 pixel dashed. Border color is going to be gray.100. Just see what that looks like. You can just see that there. And then what we'll do is we'll chuck some padding on that as well. Okay. Padding, bottom, I'm going to mimic that. 8 and 8. So it looks a bit funny because it's not coming off the bottom of this, it's coming off the bottom of this text here, which is okay. So to solve that problem, we could just limit the lines here. But, you know, if you want to write a bit more about a project, until we decide to have like a project view screen, I think this is going to be sufficient. So maybe, I mean, that's easy to handle. So we'll just do that. RealHub, boom, love it. So project logo. So what we want to do here, so we're going to do the same thing as what we did with the blog post, and that's the image. So we put it inside the flex to maintain the size. So in here, paste the image, and from memory the image comes from next image. So realistically we should call this next image. Just like to do that just so that it's easier to identify what's going on, because we can also get image from Chakra, so just to avoid the confusion. So here's the project logo.url, and let's see what that looks like. Yep, not right, but remember our friend position should do us. Position relative, that's him. There we go, we're on. So sort those guys. So I mean, look, that's probably okay. We can definitely can use some work. So I mean, what can we do here? I mean, what we can also try is we can use the main image and just see what does that look like with the main image in there. Okay. So I mean, it's not great. I mean, this is not a good example because it's a small thing. What you'd probably want to do here is not cover. You want to contain. And then we want to object position center. And then what you'd probably do here, instead of this black, you'd make it white. So that's kind of cool. So if we kept to that ratio as well, that could definitely work. And then we could have the logo offset somewhere, or we could just do it like that, which is pretty decent. I mean, let's be honest, not that great. It's okay for now, but I do have friends in graphics design places, so hopefully they can help me out here. But this will do for now. So what we're trying to do is just link to all our projects. So another one, I'm just going to add it while we're here. engagedigital.io. Another one that I've worked on, digital proposal system. Very cool. So we're going to go here. We're going to go bump this one, add another project. And this will be called Engage. URL. And then this one is digital proposals. Great. Existing media, same thing. Just going to use this. Boom. Existing media. Boom. Whoops, not that one. We want to use something else. Change. Remove. Add media. Existing media. Logo. There we go. Publish that. I'm just doing this to see what it looks like as we add more. There we go. Gauge, Real Hub, my 4x4. Looks awesome. So, I mean, it just looks awesome because it's there and it's real. Okay, so what we've done there is just added recent projects to our portfolio. And just what I'm going to do here is I'm also going to go through the other websites where I can and add built by Ken Grief so that we can get SEO going both ways. So that crawler goes from here, finds those pages, and some of those pages that I've built in the past. I've done a couple of restaurant ones. They've been around for a long time and getting a lot of traffic. That'll then come back through and give me a bit of an uplift. So we can work both ways. So that's adding projects. So I think for now, we've actually done most of the work here. We've got the home page with all the blog articles. I'm going to drop this actual blog thing because it is already there. It's on the front page, so we don't need to really go into that any further. We now have the projects page. What the last piece of the puzzle I'll probably end up doing is having a contact page. So we can do that on the next one. See you soon. Okay, let's do it again. So as discussed in the last one, in this one we're going to drop the blog from the nav. We're going to add contact and then probably have some links to the socials and find icons. I think we can do that relatively simply, but let's find out. So the first thing I'm going to do here in pages directory, source pages, new file. I'm going to call that contact.tsx. We're going to create a new component. This is going to be called contact page. And that's all good. And here we're just going to say, so what we want is our default layout. Yep. Swap that out. Then we're just going to say contact. So we know that we've just done one. So we're going to have a heading. Heading as an H1. Contact. All right, so that's that. Now what we can do is in the sidebar, we can drop out blog or just move it down. We're going to change that to contact. And it's going to go to the contact page. Okay, so there's a problem here. So we need bottom on the one above. Not on that one. There we go. So now we got projects, contact, home. Very simple, but sometimes simple is great. So what do we want in a contact page? You know what I also need? I'm going to add it in just so I don't forget to do it. We're going to add a new page. I'm going to copy all this page. It's pretty much boilerplate. I'm going to add a new, what are you going on here? Add a new page, about.tsx, pump that in. And this is going to be called the about page. And this is about me. And I'm going to add that into the sidebar. And I think this one can live maybe here, about me. It's the about page. Right, so we got home projects, about, contact. And what I want to do here is actually, there's a whole story. I want to tell the story. Who am I? Why does this exist? Why am I doing this? So that you can actually learn a little bit about, but that's a whole bunch of text that's going to bore everyone. So for now, I'm going to leave it out, but coming here, so I'm just going to put in a little piece just quickly. So we're going to grab from our projects page, the same concept. We're going to grab a flex here. I'm going to add it to the about page. And then I'm just going to have text here. And we're going to add some text in here. This is my life story. There we go. Ready to go. Probably chuck a photo in there. Do we have photos? I mean, look, you get to see my face enough. So this will be all about me. That's great. So in the contact page, similar concept, grab the flex, chuck it under here. So what we want to do here, so in a contact page, we can use a form, or we can go super basic. Probably don't want to have your mobile number on the internet because everyone will spam call you. But we could have, I could just have a contact form. So we could just do a very simple form that posts to an endpoint, and it'll actually give us a chance to work with the Next API. So we could do that, and that's probably what we're going to do here. So what we'll do is we'll use the Chakra form wrapper. I believe that's what it's called. Probably wrong. So if we go to Chakra UI, so if we jump into the get started and we look for components, looks for forms, form control. So that's it there. Form control. And that's a field set. Sweet. Cool. That's what we want. So what we want to do is we're going to set up a nice little form so that you can contact me, and we will use, we're going to use, what was it called? SendGrid to send the email. I've done this with a few other projects, so it should be just a drop in. So let's get started on that. In this video, I'm just going to set up the layout, and then I'll do it in the next video. I'll actually show how we can use SendGrid to send email from your blog. Just so it's a separate one, so it's not too long. So let's get started here. So we're going to grab in all these guys from Chakra. I'm just going to format this properly. Drop that in. Set up a form control here. Sweet. So it looks like our friend is trying to fill this in for us. So our form label is going to be, the first thing I'm going to say is like, what's your name? And then we're going to use an input, which I'm surprised they haven't asked us to import there. And that's text. What are they doing in here? They've got an email. Yeah, type email. Okay. Input type email. So we're going to pull an input. And this is cool. That is true. I'm never going to share your email. I'll never share your email. So what are you asking here? So we want APOS. So APOS, thank you. Let us see what that looks like. Contact page. There we go, your name. Don't want to form this long, so we'll set the max width here again, width at 70% of the screen size. Great. Okay, so what do I want? If you're going to contact me, I want your name, I want your email, I want your phone, and your email. Don't need that. Oh, so this is a text. We don't need that. Obviously, your name, don't need that. Your mobile, that's going to just be text given. You could have a country code. Let's see, your name, your email, your mobile. Great. And then what we're going to do inside of here, we're just going to add margin top of 4, just to give it a little bit of space. And again on this one. Cool. And then your message. So what do you want to say to me, Chief? Your message. And that's cool. And then this will be a text area. Text area. Nope. I wonder if it has text area. No. What do you have? So they have input. It's a small a. Text area. What does that look like? Great. We could probably even set the height to 120. Cool. Your name, your email, your mobile, your message. Cool. And then finally what we need here is a button as submit. Type submit. And then say send message. Right, and we need import button. I need that helper text again. I've deleted that. So that goes under here. I'll never share your email. Cool. Let's jump back. I'll never share your email. Or will I? Nah, jokes. I'll never share your email. Cool. So we go here, margin top 4. Love it. Send message. Now we need to have, I like to create a hook for this, for the logic, but we're going to need to have state here because we want to keep the state in. And then when you hit submit, we want to send that state up to the API so we can actually go and make the request and show that this is loading and everything. So what we're going to do is, do we have that yet? Do we have don't have a hooks folder. That's cool. So we're going to create a hooks folder and we're going to say use contact form. .ts. Awesome. So let's create that. Use contact form. Export that. Cool. Why are you giving me? We need indent user spaces 2. Thank you. And I always return an object. Cool. Export default is what it's asking for here. Use contact form. Now what we can do is import use contact form. And here we're going to have convention contact form payload equals use contact form. And then out of this, we're going to be able to get some props. So the first thing is, so we're going to have name, email, mobile, message. So we're going to have name, email, mobile, message. Right. We're also probably going to have a loading prop, so that when we're busy sending, we're going to flick that over until the API responds. So we're going to have name, email, mobile, message, and then we're going to have loading. We're also going to have success, I think, or errors. Right. So this is basically going to something like that. Okay, we also need a callback. I like to do it this way. So callbacks from the hook, and it's going to be set state. We're going to have a set state callback. So inside of this, I understand that it's not there, Chan. We're going to have callbacks. It's just crying, so we'll just fix that for it. So we're going to use. So usually I will set up in a bigger project, we create our own use set state hook, which just means it's kind of like using a reducer rather than just plain states. You don't have to keep merging in the changes, but for now, just because it's just simple, I'm just going to use this. So we're going to go const state, and we're going to get set state out of use state, and I'm going to pass in default state. So default state comes from here, and this is basically, we're just going to say name is nothing, email is nothing, message is nothing, and then mobile, honeypot, excuse me, is nothing. So that's that, and then we're going to grab those guys out. So email, message, mobile, name, and state. Awesome, thank you, Copilot. So what does set state look like? So set state is going to be a new function. It's going to take in a key and a value. So when we call it, we want it to look like set state, and then we're going to say for email, like that, right? So this is email at email.com. That's how we're going to use this. Actually, no. How we're going to use this is we're going to say like this. Email is new string, email at email.com, right? That's how I want to use it. I want to use it like that. So what we're going to get is a new object here. So we're going to say params, or it could be changes. Then we're going to say, so with set state, we get the previous state, right? And then we return the new changes. So we return our new state. So we get, in here, we get the previous state, and then we return this. And this is being actually, I don't know if you saw that, but it's telling us, hey, look, seen this before. New state is equal to the previous state, and then we're going to merge over the top of that the new params. That's exactly what we want to do. And then what we're going to just do is say, yeah, return new state. And params is going to be an object, but it's actually going to be a partial of default type. I think it's type of default state, right? Yeah. So we just typed that. So now what we're expecting is when the params that come in is going to be partial and can only contain email, message, mobile, name, and one of those, all of those. So that's what partial is of this one. Previous state, boom. So that's it. I believe that'll do it. And see, it's calling set state. So let's give that a spin. So let's see if this works for us. And what we can do even here is just return out state. I'm going to get rid of this guy. Okay. So what we can look at here, we're going to get state out of here. I mean, it might be actually easier to just return that anyway, so we can get rid of these guys. We can do this email. Oh, that's not what I want. Message, mobile, and then name. So we get rid of that. And so now what we can do is name. So the input value is name. And then on change, we're going to get the event. And we're going to call set state. Set state. Pass in the object. And we're going to say name is equal to e.target.value. Okay. Now this field is controlled. So now when we type it, so that was in the name field, we should be able to type. Okay. And now what we can do here is we can actually go just do console.log contact form payload.state. And what we can see is in here, I'll just refresh this page, get rid of all that nonsense. There's our state right now. But now if I type in can, you can see it being added in there, right? That's what we want. So now all of this is being stored in our field. Now, obviously, this is not the best way to do a form because as you can see, as I type, I am going to re-render everything that has the change. So the props are changing for all these fields, so they're going to re-render. So if you had lots of fields, it's not an efficient way of doing it. And I would fall then to React Form and use something a bit more robust, but we're just doing contact form. So, you know, YOLO. So I'm going to do the same thing here now. We're going to chuck that in here for email. So we're going to say you're going to change email. Same thing here for mobile. And the same thing here again for my friend message. Right. Now refresh this thing and I can say, yeah, my name's Ken Grief. And this is my email, ken@email.com. My mobile is this. And my message is, hey, Ken. It's Ken here. Now what we can do is if we just jump into our little state, you can see here we got all our data. It's all ready to go. So now what we want to do, we also want to have a submit form callback. So inside a use thing here, we're expecting a submit form, right? And that's just going to be a new function. And for now, I'm going to just console.log state. So I'm going to say send message. And then I'm just going to put state there. So this is what we're going to expect to happen. Now we're just going to have to take this guy and then button on click. We want to submit form. Right. I'm just fixing the formatting up here. Great. Send message. And let's see if I hit send message. Send message and it's going to pass the payload through. All right. So we're now ready for the actual building the API and posting this up to our Next API, and then with that body, and then getting it to, you know, do all the processing, etc., and then return us a little loading and a success, and we're good to go. All right. So I'll do that next.